Welcome back to the last leg of my journey through southwest France. I'm on my way to Dordogne, about 3 hours from Bordeaux. The area named after the river that runs through the land is known for its medieval citadels, towering castle towns, ancient cave and rock formations, and above all, the farming villages that produce France's highly prized ingredients. My first stop is the city of Périgueux, the capital and gastronomic center of Dordogne. Most people outside France may have never heard of Dordogne or the city of Périgueux, which is where we are. But serious foodies all over the world are familiar with this place. It's known for having some of the best local ingredients and a fantastic gastronomic culture. If you can, arrive early on market day, when the streets and squares of the city are lined with stalls selling produce from surrounding farms. Anytime else is just as fine, as there's never a day without street vendors offering you bounty from the land. Périgueux is at the crossroads of the Dordogne, and that's why farmers offload their produce here. Now this is a real treat. When in Périgueux city, you must try their foie gras de canard. It's the duck liver, and it's known to have the best in all of France. In fact, all the greatest chefs of the country come here to get their supply. This seller specializes in the local delicacy, goose or duck liver, prepared and preserved in different ways and with different ingredients mixed in. This is yummy. Truffles are another special of Périgueux, especially from November to March. When the weather isn't cooperating, the permanent covered market is where you can find all the best Dordogne has to offer under one roof. There are a lot of local specialties in this market. One of them is their own version of andouille. It's basically it's offal in sausage form, and let's see what it tastes like. Wonderful. And this one is saucisson du canard. It's a duck sausage, duck salami. Périgueux is known for charcuterie, and the friendly vendors don't mind you tasting as much as you want, for free. Wow. My first time to taste saucisson du canard. Fantastic. There are 1,000 types of cheese in France. Those from the Dordogne reflect the local terroir and cheese-making traditions. So here's the thing to remember. Périgueux is more than just about foie gras. They also make fantastic cheeses here. The cows in the region produce really beautiful cheese, including this very creamy one. Marvelous. It's a triple crème with extra cream added to the cheese. They've got ducks, they've got geese. They also have, of course, goats, and they make some really good chèvre over here. Merci beaucoup. Merci. The region also covers parts of the Pyrenees Mountains, where delicious goat cheese is made. Food is so central to the local culture. Anywhere you turn, you're bound to bump into a charcuterie or fromagerie on the street. So yes, you can ditch the Michelin guide because pretty much every cafe or restaurant in town will offer the same great ingredients you've heard about. Lunch is at Le Saint-Jacques, a restaurant and culinary school on a grassy hill above the old town. With weather this beautiful, I've asked them to set up my table in the courtyard. This looks really good. It's not unusual for people to fly in or drive hundreds of miles to Périgueux just to eat, just for a single meal. This place, as we showed you, is so famous for its produce. So let's begin with one of their favorites here, foie gras. Foie gras is a liver of goose or duck that's specially fed. Some foreigners are offended by the thought, but in France, it's a protected cultural and gastronomical heritage that's enshrined in their law. Here, foie is usually served as a starter in the form of a pâté with salad. Beef is another special ingredient of the area. France's unique breed of Aubrac cattle are raised not far from here. Frankly, I was expecting something more special than skewered beef and vegetables. But then again, what can be more special than flavor?
In a way, the food here is just like the wines that are made in this region. This is Bergerac wine. And whether it's onions, potatoes, tomatoes, I guess you just have to let the land speak for itself. Allow the terroir to express itself in the food. That's why this meal is so beautiful, even if it's so simple. Cheers.
Of course, it helps that the weather and natural environment are just as wonderful. And that's part of the appeal of dining in Périgueux.
Now this was a really fabulous meal, and to think it was really so simple, nothing fancy at all. I guess that's a secret of cuisine in the Dordogne. There's really nothing else to it except really fantastic ingredients. And of course, this beautiful scenery. What a great way to end this meal. Strawberries from Périgueux.
There's much more to do though than just sniffing around for food on the streets. The old quarter of the city is packed with architectural jewels and historical treasures.
Of course, the city of Périgueux is more than just an important center of gastronomy in the Dordogne region. It's also an important center of the Catholic faith in the area. And this cathedral behind me tells that long and often painful history. The history of the struggles between the different religions in the area.
It's impossible to miss the massive Cathedral Saint-Front that towers above the city center. If it reminds you of another structure, that's because it was modeled after the Byzantine Basilica of St. Mark's in Venice. And in case you noticed it too, some parts resemble Paris's Onion Dome Basilica de Sacré-Cœur, though it was a Montmartre landmark that was inspired by the Cathedral of Périgueux. The cathedral was built in the 12th century and figures prominently in the history of French Christianity. It was named after Saint-Front, the first bishop of the region. During the Holy Crusades, knights and nobles often stopped here on their way to Jerusalem. So too did pilgrims on the Camino, the route to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Périgueux Cathedral also witnessed the bloody battles during the wars of religion between Catholics and Protestants, the French Huguenots who held the basilica and the town for 6 years. Long gone are the remnants of war, except for a few cannons that once guarded its walls. Today you can explore its sprawling interiors that form a Greek cross and admire the grand Baroque walnut altarpiece, the splendid pipe organ, and the giant chandelier that used to hang in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. A reminder indeed of the basilicas and of Périgueux's importance in the French Catholic hierarchy. Up next, the final leg of my journey through the southwest of France continues on to Sarlat, one of the region's best preserved medieval cities, and comes to an end at the castle town of Château Castelnau, overlooking the picturesque Dordogne River Valley. Executive class returns after the break.